In every group of people, there are some whose words carry more weight than others. You might notice that some people's prayers seem to get answered more often, while others seem to have a special ability to make things happen just by speaking. In the past, researchers like Keith Thomas found that certain people, like fathers and beggars in Old England, had especially powerful words when they cursed someone. In societies where people really admire those who are good at telling stories or poems, they often think these people have special powers. They believe these storytellers can talk to gods or make things change just by speaking. We see this idea in ancient cultures like the ones in the Bible or in Greece and Rome. For example, in the Bible, there are poems that describe curses in detail, sometimes suggesting that the person speaking has the power, not just God. Also, in places like Arabia, there were special people called shamans who could predict the future, bless, curse, and even make decisions about politics. We also have stories from ancient Ireland that talk about similar ideas. In some cultures, poets had special ways to put curses on kings who didn't pay them. Cursing became a big deal in these cultures where people thought highly of poets and their powerful words. Sometimes there were even people who focused just on cursing, like in the Arabic tradition called hijah. During the Gulf War, experts in these curses appeared on TV in Saudi Arabia and Iraq. When someone cursed, it could get everyone really worked up and make them feel like they were winning over the person being cursed. But only certain people had the power to do this. They had to be seen as experts and have a special authority to make their curses work. Sometimes, in religious groups like the Benedictine monks, they followed traditions from the Bible and cursed as part of their formal prayers. Only the highest-ranking leaders like archbishops had the power to do really strong curses. It's interesting that these same people who could bless others were also expected to curse their enemies using similar techniques and authority. They could use old stories and words to make their curses powerful. This idea of having the power to both bless and curse is seen in many ancient religions and across different cultures. In recent times, a group of fasting Kabbalists who study mystical Jewish teachings gathered at a special place near Jerusalem. They went into a dark cave and set up candles on a copper tray. Then, they chanted a curse 7 times, asking angels to bring bad luck to a person named Saddam, and even to make his wife marry someone else. This shows how some people believe they have special power in their words, even if it's not always effective. In ancient Egypt, there were priests called lectors who had the job of reading religious texts aloud. They had the power to both curse and bless people. This continued even into Roman times. Later on, monks in Egypt also had this power, although it might not have been as clear. They would do it as needed in their communities. So Egypt is an example of how throughout history, certain people have been seen as having the power to say words that can either bring good or bad luck. The role of the lector priest was to read aloud spells, often the speeches of the gods themselves, to protect the king, the fields, and the cosmos of Egypt against the forces of chaos. As such, the lector priest imitated the efficacious protective utterances of gods like Isis, Horus, Ra, and Seth, all known for their powers of verbally assaulting the multiple demonic threats to order. By the force of words, priests would cast divine beneficence over the fields, the king, and the bodies of those afflicted, reinforcing those words with gestures and amulets. These performances, and the amulets and substances that proceeded from them, should plausibly fall under the category blessing. The term itself might be nuanced as pertaining to the ritual transfer of protective, generative, healing, and otherwise beneficent power. Transmitting the words of the god, in Egyptian priestly ritual, involved the integral linking of spoken and written words. The written word represented the perpetual pronunciation of the divine utterance, while the spoken word gave presence and immediacy to the divine utterance. This link is exemplified in inscribed amulets that guarantee the blessing of a god upon an individual. In the Third Intermediate Period, priests in several temples issued oracular decrees on the part of their temple's gods, meant to protect clients from a series of demons and dangers in the landscape. Clients would carry in tubes around their necks texts that, in the words of the god him or herself, promised deliverance from, and it read, "Every evil eye, from every evil mouth, and from every evil glance, from any evil magic, from any Syrian magic, from any Nubian magic, from any Egyptian magic, and from any magic of the people of Cush. I shall keep me safe from any action of a demon, from any interference by a demon, from any demon of a pool left by the inundation, from any demon of a runnel, from any demon of a well, from any demon of a lake, from any demon of a hollow, from any demon of the mountains, from every demon of all swamps, and from every demon who has done wrong to people. I shall never allow them to against him throughout his whole lifetime. I shall set his excellence in their hearts. I shall cause them to say, right concerning every word and every oracle which he will say in their presence. I shall banish their evil designs from their hearts. The same words that protect in these magical spells also attack because they're meant to keep away bad spirits and make enemies less hostile. This is like a curse, where words are used to weaken someone's strength or abilities, whether they're gods or people. In ancient times, priests had rituals where they would do things like destroy images of enemies or say powerful words to defeat them. For instance, in a document called the Papyrus Bremner Rind, there's a story about defeating a powerful enemy named Apep. Cursing and blessing might seem like opposites, but they can actually be connected. When someone blesses or protects something, they also have to make sure bad things stay away. So, in a way, they're stopping bad powers from causing harm. This idea can be used in different situations, like in battles or to keep away bad luck. For example, in ancient Egypt, a priest named Harnuphis went with Marcus Aurelius's army to chant curses at enemies. But he was also known for asking the gods to make it rain when there was a drought. This shows that as a priest he had special skills and respect, even among Roman leaders. Similarly, in a story from later on, villagers in Egypt put special things in the road to protect themselves from a religious leader who was against their beliefs. The story comes from the 5th century biography of a religious leader, which was put together over many years from speeches given during festivals. While these speeches aren't exact historical records, they give us a peek into how rituals were done in ancient Egypt. In the story, the ritual was meant to keep the village safe from chaos and bad things, kind of. Our father Appa Shenute mounted his donkey, but when he began to ride down the road, as soon as the donkey came to a place where the ritual substances had been buried, it would stand still and dig with its hoof. Straight away the potions would be exposed, and my father would say to the servant, "Pick them up so that you can hang them round their necks." Time and time again the servant who was going with him would beat the donkey, saying, "Move." But my father would say to him, "Let him be, for he knows what he is doing." And again he would say to the servant, "Take the vessels and keep them in your hand until we enter the village so that we can hang them round their necks." When he entered the village, the heathens saw him with the magical vessels which the servant had in his hands. They immediately fled away and disappeared, and my father entered the temple and destroyed the idols, smashing them one on top of the other. Long ago, people in villages used special spells to keep out bad guys who might cause trouble. They'd do this when they felt danger coming. These protective spells were also used by individuals to keep themselves safe from harm. For example, there's a story about a man named Sabinus who had a lot of bad things happen to him because of his daughter. He asked for help from a powerful god to punish his enemies and make them go away. Another person, Victor, asked for help against someone who hurt him by making them unable to speak bad things about him. These spells were often put in special places like shrines as a way to ask for protection. The people who knew how to do these spells were called magicians or ritual experts. They learned a lot from the priests in Egypt, who were experts in using words and rituals to protect their king, land, fields, and people. Being a priest meant knowing how to use words to do many things, sometimes even competing with other experts who had the same skills. So priests could be asked to do rituals for different reasons, depending on what was needed. In Coptic monasticism, the ability to use curses comes from the idea of protecting against evil spirits and the devil, rather than using curses to harm others for no reason. For instance, there was a hermit who stopped a big hippopotamus from causing trouble in the area. The hippo was seen as a symbol of the Egyptian god of chaos, Seth. The hermit spoke firmly but kindly to the hippo, saying, "In the name of Jesus Christ, I command you not to cause trouble here anymore." It worked. The hippo left and never came back. Another time, the hermit did the same thing to get rid of a crocodile.